That should be the correct one. Does everybody see what I'm doing here?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so this is what a square dashboard looks like. It's changed a little bit in the last couple of months, but they're always making slight changes. If you know the word you're looking for, it's usually pretty easy to find stuff if they do change things. All right, so with the square dashboard, you get a couple of things that you don't get with Stripe, which is nice. And one of those things is transactions. So these are the transactions from a while ago. Let's do today. All right, so you have your date up here, and you can do it manually. You can do it with your calendar. They have set up ones. So if you're like, oh, this person, ordered yesterday, you can click that. So we're going to go on today. You can also select certain times if you know that. So I just do all payment methods, unless you're looking for something specific. It's just all is better. Most of this I just have to set to all because there's no other reason, but if you had something that you knew you were looking for, you're welcome to try to find it. You can also search by card number. So if you have the last 4 digits of a card number, you can search by that. This screen also allows you to export. It always exports into CSV, but any spreadsheet application will open a CSV, so that should be fine there. And that's actually how I get my orders for the week. My physical income from Local Line, I select Sunday through Saturday for the previous week, because that's when our store is open, and then export. All right, so say this person, order number 686219, needs a refund. You click on it. You get this little thing going on here. You can send a receipt. You can issue a refund. This gives you all the information that it has collected. It also tells you the fees, which is cool. Not usually very useful, but if for some reason you need it, it is on the transaction receipt itself. Let's see here. Okay. If you wanted to issue a refund, you click issue refund, and you can either refund items or refund amount. And for this, we're going to have to do an amount. It has the card number there. You would put in how much. If you're refunding, $6.91, that's what you do. You use $6.91, and then you select a refund. None of these really work for us unless you're doing a canceled order. If you click other, it gives you a place to do that. So, like wrong product, right? And then you would just click issue refund. This is an active order. I am not going to physically do that. But that is the end step. And then it would be like, you refunded that, which is nice. With Square, you do need, and to close this, you would just hit done. With Square, you do need to give people access to refunds. And that is somewhere in permissions, might be in team. Yeah, under team, you have permissions, and you can set custom level of permissions. Apparently they make you pay for that now, but I just have everyone under all the permissions. So for us, Deirdre is up front taking numbers and making sure people have paid. She has the ability on her phone to issue a refund if necessary. So there's no reason for her to do that. And that's what I have. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, does it charge you another, like Square charge on the refund, or is it only on the incoming sales?
It's only on the incoming sales.
Okay, cool.
unless that's changed in the last 3 months. I have never had an issue refunding previously.
Okay, thank you.
But Square retains the original charge from the payment, even if you refund the payment, right?
Yes. Yeah, so you lose that, 30 cents to $5 or whatever. But, it's the cost of you doing online payments, essentially.
All right, can you guys see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So setting your delivery dates is super easy. Just right here under deliveries. So I'm gonna move you guys so I can get to where I need to go. And then you just click edit and scroll down here to availability and select monthly. And that lets you pick individual dates. So you can see the dates I have highlighted here. I can add this one, I can take this one away. So what I do every week, we close our store at 8 o'clock on Thursdays. I just go into this and then unclick the delivery date for that Saturday, and people can no longer order for that market. Make sure you click save at the bottom, and that's it. Super straightforward, and that lets you keep, your store open all the time, but then people can't order for whatever dates you don't want them to order for. So
Cara, can you talk a little
So
bit
you
about
actually-
the vendor planning for that? Like, have you had any issues with vendors not bringing the right orders to market because they were for a different week?
no, not, well, okay, maybe like one or two. But I send out a report every week. So after I close the store at 8, I pull all the orders for that upcoming market, either late Thursday night or early Friday morning. And I edit it and I send a report to each individual vendor of all the products they're supposed to bring, the customer number and the customer name, because that's how we label it. We label it with customer name and number. So then they can cross-check anything they think they're supposed to be bringing with anything I tell them they're supposed to be bringing. So we've had one or two issues where people have brought stuff for the next week, but we've never not had a product show up that was supposed to be there that week.
Cara, what's your size of your market? Like, how many vendors do you have?
Not all of our vendors in our market participate on Local Line, and we have some vendors who only participate in Local Line.
Okay, I guess I meant Local Line specifically.
Okay, so I want to say we've got 20 vendors in there right now. We do right around 45-ish orders a week, not including Pop Club. And we typically have about $1,600 to $2,200 in sales a week. So much smaller than you guys.
Okay, I was wondering because it takes me about an hour and a half to make those reports for every single vendor. And that's after I've formatted things. So
yeah,
I guess I was just wondering how long it takes you.
It actually takes me about that because we have multiple vendors. So I found like Jane, she gets like half our orders. It's just as quick for me to pull her orders because I just, copy and paste her stuff as it does for me to pull a vendor with like 3 orders. So it probably takes me right about the same amount of time.
I have 2 questions about order density. So, like, do you have a feel for when the orders are coming in? Do customers like ordering that far in advance? And then the second question is, have you had customers forget that they had ordered for more than a week out?
So we kind of had a nice distribution. Like, if we don't get a glut of orders in the beginning or a glut of orders at the end, we tend to be pretty consistent throughout the week. And we only have a couple of customers that order a week or so out, maybe 2 or 3, and it's usually for meat from Jane, not produce items really. And then what was just the second part of your question? Sorry, I lost it.
Yeah, no, do they forget? I guess the one time we tried that, I had customers that didn't remember a week and a half later that they had ordered something.
We've only had one person not actually pick up their order since we've started this, and she was the very first week, so that wasn't an issue.
Okay.
I send a reminder email to everyone who has an order pickup that weekend. I send an email out Friday morning, hey, you've got an order, blah, 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 blah. This is how you pick it up. you know, all the basic reminder stuff. So I think that really helps.
Is there a quick way to do that, Kara, with compiling those email addresses? And then do you just type one email and do a blind carbon copy?
Yep. So if you just go into your messages up there and then just do like new bulk message, and then you can toggle, oops, did I lose? Okay, good. You can toggle filters. So I just do, you know, pick my delivery date, you know, my start and enter date, and it'll pull up everybody who has an order. Well, I guess mine's a pickup. We don't do delivery. So anybody who's supposed to be picking up an order between those dates, it'll, you know, populate all those customers. And then I just copy and paste basically from the week before, unless there's, you know, any changes, I'll tweak it a little bit. But I mean, this part probably takes me 5 minutes, you know, the day before market. It's pretty quick and simple.
Okay, I have not even explored the message thing, so I guess that's something I need to look at.
This is Ruth. I can weigh in a little bit on these messages. There's a lot of different things you can do. I send out 2 every week. I do a who have not ordered, or who did not have the one on the bottom, no pickup or delivery scheduled, on Tuesday, to be like, hey, don't forget to order. And then yeah, we do with a pickup and with a delivery. Those are 2 different things, because we do not deliver things that have not been paid. So this works pretty well now. It used to be far clunkier. The only thing I would say is that occasionally it errors out. If it does, check on the left-hand side over here, where it's got all of the messages. See if your message actually went through, because sometimes it errors out, but it worked. So just watch.
Yeah, I order every week through Local Line, so I just kind of check my personal email and make sure that, oh, I got my little reminder. And sometimes it'll take an hour or 2, so there's sometimes a bit of a lag. So watch for that too.
So those messages on the left side of the screen, did those only come to this inbox in Local Line, or do you get an email in your Gmail saying you have a message or something?
No, I only get it on Local Line. So you got to make sure you're logging in and checking.
Yeah.
I check that occasionally, basically every time I refresh Local Line, I check that. There is in your account settings, there is a thing that says, you know, when I get a message, email me. It doesn't work.
Oh, okay.
And then I do send my catalog out every Sunday afternoon at like 3:30. Be like, hey, this is what we have this week. You know, reminder, email by Thursday at, you know, 8 p.m. And I found that tends to be really helpful. Kind of catches people when they're not really doing anything on a Sunday afternoon, and we tend to get a pretty good response to that.
Okay. Kara,
can you show the sending the catalog, because that's a different spot.
Yeah, that's in a different spot. So here under catalogs, and then let's see, edit catalog. Nope, oh, that's right. I have to remember where I do it. Edit customers. And then, so it's just this catalog schedule here. You can toggle it off or toggle it on. So you can see I set mine Sunday weekly at 4:30, and it's in Eastern time, so it's 3:30 our time. And then I just kind of have a basic message that I, you know, change things out for the week. Like we're doing our e-event this week, so I just, you know, popped a little thing in there. And you can select all customers, or you can filter them. Like I will send an individual message to like our CSA market share boxes customers. But right now I just have all of them filtered, and it just automatically sends the catalog out at 3:30 on Sunday afternoons.
Okay.
Cara, I have a question.
Yeah.
So I assume you have some lead time set up. Is that so that the store closes and then, you know, orders for this week end, and then, you know, the store is open, but you can only order for the next week? That lead time, is that something you can put in your own number, or is that like a drop down where you have options?
I guess I'm not really fully
So
understanding.
there are two different things that I'm seeing, right? On this catalog, Cara's got 5 days payment window at the top
Mhm.
if you scroll up. But Ruth, I think the thing you're asking about is actually on the homepage in your deliveries tab.
Right on.
Well,
Right, and
and I think it's a little confusing because Cara was saying she closes the store, but she doesn't actually close the store. The store never closes. It's just that orders for the upcoming Saturday close. And then
That is what I
everybody
meant.
that
You
ordered
can't select
after
that
that.
as a pickup date.
Yep. So
Yeah.
anybody who automatically orders after Friday has to select, the 13th instead of the 6th. If that makes sense. So I just,
Yeah.
our bakers need some time to get things together, which is why, and I need time to put those reports together, which is why I close it Thursday night. If that wasn't something you needed, you could conceivably close it Friday night if you had a Saturday market pickup, or even Saturday morning if that was something you can manage, but I can't. Like, I need that Friday with no one ordering for that Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I see the order lead time thing, and that looks like it's you can change that at will. It's not like a 24-36 situation.
Yeah, you can change that.
That was my question.
And I don't know if it really, I don't know, I don't really utilize this feature very much. Like, mine's based off of these little clicks. So I've never really messed with this, but it just shows up like on the catalog and stuff, what we require. Like, we require 48 hours lead time. But I think that was more when we were taking wholesale, like call-in type orders or whatever.
Can you walk us through what we're calling closing the store but isn't?
Yeah, no, I mean, basically that's just it. So at Thursday night is when I close it. So at 8 o'clock at night, I come in and I unclick that Saturday.
Okay.
And then
So
anybody
you're
who
doing
comes
this
in and
manually.
orders, yep, I manually do it.
Okay.
Nobody can come in and select that delivery date anymore.
Okay.
So people can still come in, see the catalog, they can continue to order. They just can't say, hey, I want to pick up at this Saturday's market.
That was my
would you go
question.
and add the 20th? Would you add the 20th on that Thursday night, on tonight?
Yeah, we do 2 weeks out. So as soon as I unclick that one, I just click that one.
Gotcha.
But you wouldn't have to, you could just have.
I
next
just
week's
highlighted
appointment.
all of my Tuesdays. Hopefully that won't become a problem for me. I guess I'll have to see.
Yeah, that's because I was doing weekly initially, like over here, and then it was doing every day, and that was just a mess. So this monthly let me pick when I wanted people to be able to order for, and it's been very helpful.
Okay. So
Whoa.
I'm struggling with the idea that if I kind of switch my thinking to like being a vendor, because I'm going to be a produce vendor. I don't have any produce ripe yet, but I'm getting there, really close. So what I'm going to try to do, and especially for like farmers that are going to a Saturday market and then maybe possibly coming home with product, is encouraging them to update the catalog, because I'm doing Tuesday evening pickups. So I'm going to start encouraging them to update the catalog either Saturday evening or Sunday morning, so that they know what product they have available for Tuesday. Because I think as a vendor, if I'm trying to go out and estimate, even though like I'm only doing local line with my produce, even going out into the field on Wednesday and trying to update my inventory on a Wednesday, I think would be just really a lot of guesswork and a lot of anxiety for me. That, oh, what if we get a cold day and it doesn't grow, or you know, I don't know, what if something eats my lettuce? So I guess that's kind of what I've been thinking, and I was curious with if your produce vendors have had any trouble with their inventory yet, having the store open like that, or do you just
Yeah,
encourage
we're starting to run into that a little bit. When we first opened, you know, it was all like meats and syrups and jams, you know, shelf stable stuff that it wasn't really an issue. And then I started getting that feedback from some of my produce vendors, like, oh, we had someone order radishes for, you know, next week. I'm not sure we're going to have it. You know, we're supposed to get really hot weather. So in a situation like that, I'll try to see if any other vendors might have them, because our produce vendors have different things coming in at different times, and just kind of assure them like, oh, well, if it doesn't work out, we do have a backup. So if you feel comfortable keeping that on, you can. And then if it doesn't work, we'll just substitute in from another vendor. Or, you know, I just tell them, put in the base, you know, quantities you have and know you can deliver. And then you can always, you know, update that inventory as you get closer. And we still, you know, have people ordering Thursday night at 7 o'clock. So,
Yeah.
Updating closer to market doesn't mean you won't get sales. Obviously, it's not a perfect, you know, system, but I don't know.
I wonder if
Just trying to make it work for everybody.
Yeah.
On the product, the vendor can set a seasonality to it. Do you have any idea if they put a close date, like they have a start and end date for their product? And if a customer orders after that end date, does anybody know if Local Line will cut them off?
No, I don't know. I've been meaning to look into that. If it just automatically pulls it out of the catalog or won't let you order it, or I don't know. I haven't seen yet. Is anybody else worked with that?
I
Most
believe
of our vendors do it
does
manually.
Just pull it out of the catalog, because last year, yeah, we have one who has rhubarb who set his seasonality on it. And last year, when his season ended, it just disappeared from the catalog. But I think he probably went in there and manually switched the dates on the seasonality so that he could know it was going to go off.
Most of our vendors manually do hide from view. That's an option in their product page.
So are really everybody looking at my Local Line?
Yes.
Okay, so let's look, and I can resend this, but this is what Ruth and I were working this morning. So how to get your supplier order lists with the customer name on them is the title of this thing. So what we are using in Rochester is the customer order summary. So it would be smart to go through and select our delivery date, pick out the market date, and that's going to be all of your customer orders for that week, right? So I'm not going to select all of them just because it'll take forever to download, but we would download the order summary for the customers. And that's what this is going to look like.
Guess if you need me to jump in and show what I've done, just
yeah, I was trying to decide if it would be easier to do it from scratch or to just kind of do it live. So you guys can stop me if this is like messing you up, but so this is our customer order summary. And the next thing we're going to do, let's look back at the protocol. Make sure the customer order summary is sorted chronologically by order number, because that's going to be important for the VLOOKUP function. So that's how it downloads naturally, but just keeping that in mind. Okay, so next step, download the supplier order list. And so that's what we were struggling with this morning, because there are so many darn downloads for your suppliers. So we're under orders, we're under supplier orders. We're going to select that same date. And we are going to select all of them, but not for right now. The one on the far left, the download orders, I think is the most useful for your supplier orders. So it doesn't look very nice to start, but what I like about this spreadsheet is that, let me delete this top. It's going to be, it has an itemized list of products by supplier. So that ends up being really handy. Pardon my capitalization. So, okay, next step. So we're gonna sort the suppliers list by the order number to get rid of those funny totals lines. So do you see these? Those are getting in the way of our sorting. So now we can delete all of these useless lines. Everybody kind of following so far? Everybody's quiet.
I see head nods.
Yep, okay, cool. So, we're gonna add an extra column next to the supplier order number, and the reason is because this, we need to get these numbers to line up with the customer numbers. I'm going to move this sheet. What I'm doing right now is trying to get them into the same spreadsheet because it's going to make it easier.
So that's one way to do it. In Google Sheets this morning, I just copy pasted into a new tab.
Right, absolutely. So what we're going to end up using is that this customer orders list is an index, right, that corresponds the number to the name. And now what we're going to do is make it so that this spreadsheet has just the first number. So we're going to use data, text to columns. It's delimited, which means that there's something dividing up my columns. It's delimited using this hyphen. So we tell it we want to split by the hyphen, we're going to finish. And so that split these up, right? So now we can call it. And obviously you can sort these however you'd like. You can get rid of the things that are totally useless to us. But what we're going to do now is we're going to assign customers to those orders. Let me look at my protocol and see what I said we were going to do next. Oh yeah, sort rows by supplier identifier. So it's very handy to have this sorted so that we can send one to each individual supplier. So we can do that. And it looks like from what I pulled that they're all from separate farms, but then you would end up with a list that you could send to each individual supplier.
And I can show what we've done this morning if that's helpful to anybody. And I can go through in Google Sheets if that's also helpful once we're done.
Right, yeah, I think it would be great to look at the final list once we're done. The last thing I want to show you is this, the VLOOKUP function. So then there's a couple steps about like making things cleaner. We added a column for the customer name. And this is the VLOOKUP function. So here we are in our supplier order list and we want to put the customer names. We're going to type equals VLOOKUP. And then it's going to try and tell you what it wants in each of these fields. And that's why when you go to read the protocol, it's pretty confusing because so there are 4 different fields that we need to fill. So the first one, the lookup value, is this order number. The second set, the table array, that is talking about the index list. So we're going to click over and we're going to highlight the index list. Something that you need to do in Excel that you don't necessarily need to do in Google Sheets is to freeze the index so that it's not scrolling. So when you go to copy and paste it, The dollar signs means that it's always going to pull from that same space. Okay, this next field, do we see how the call index num is highlighted? So the next field in this function is the number of the column that you want your data from. So I told it my index is, you know, A2 through B5, those cells. That the order number is in the first column and the name is in the second column. So we're gonna put a 2, which is just gonna pull that customer order name. And then the last field is either true or false. True means that it's okay with an approximate value. So I think that's probably just a good way to start. So then when we hit enter, this is the cell with the formula in it, and it has populated it with that customer's name. So we can click and drag, and you can see that now the supplier knows the quantity, the product, the order number, and the name associated with that order. I would definitely reorganize these. So yeah, I'm gonna stop my share, and maybe Ruth can show you what we just did for our market for this morning.
Yes, I can do that. Oh boy. Screen. Yep. I've got like 35
Tabs.
Chrome pages open. Okay, so this is what this looks like when we're finished. I scrolled all the way down because I needed something for somebody. But so what that's going to end up looking like is these order numbers are going to be completely matched up. You have what they ordered, you have the name. I separated out first and last name, but it's all done by supplier. So for a specific supplier, you can go through and you can highlight what you need to send out. And in Sheets, you can go through and download to PDF. I'm not going to do that because Barefoot doesn't need that. So over here in customer names, I did the same thing. So I'm gonna do it on this tab because I'm not gonna use it ever again. So in Google Sheets, if you're trying to move something across or open it up into different, like the first name, last name, or the order numbers where they have the dash. So you're gonna select that column, you're gonna go to data, you're gonna go to sort range. That is not what I want. Split text to columns, right? And it's kind of hard to find. It just puts it somewhere. But your separator, you got to look for this little guy right here. And then you can do detect automatically. But if you click that, you can go a space, a comma, a semicolon, a custom. We're going to do space. And now it has pulled out every single word, which sucks for, you know, this particular thing. But over in customers, that's great. Because now you have first and last. So if you are doing things by last name, there you go. Sort by last name. Over here, yep. So the VLOOKUP, if you want to look up in my function bar, is exactly the same, except I don't need all of those fun dollar signs. I just clicked and dragged and highlighted a whole bunch of stuff. It's a little bit easier. It didn't take long. Is there any question? Oh, when you're going through and doing these things, make sure that you title these columns. You're gonna need those titles. That's the only way to make sure that you actually are doing the correct thing. Because, so I wrote customer first, customer last, and you can see in my VLOOKUP that it says customer summary and then those things. You need to label things for your own sanity, otherwise you're going to be clicking on things left and right. And if you're me, you're doing it at 6 o'clock in the morning. Any questions? Jess, you
bring
got something going on?
Yeah, no, I'm loving looking at this. I wanted to point out that I use the subtotals to prepare my supplier receipts because this is the best place for them to get their itemized list. So in the column I, which is her subtotal column, you can sum up, obviously per supplier, that amount, and that's what you're gonna propose to pay your supplier. We have in the past adjusted those if they don't show up with their product, but that way. So in the field at the bottom where you've got your gray line, do you want to do a subtotal for Barefoot?
Yep.
Um,
Okay, so if you're doing, I don't know how familiar everybody is with spreadsheets, you can either type in what you want. So in this case, it's going to be I2 colon I15. But you see how it's highlighted? You can also just click and drag select. And now, now we know exactly how much we owe the supplier, $58. I'm gonna go back to a different week and show, nope, that's not what I wanted. Okay, vendor receipts. So I made these last week, and we're just gonna use Barefoot because they're at the top. So I went through, and once we had that that subtotal sorted out, I went through and made PDFs so that these can just get printed and or emailed to the supplier, and they know they have an itemized list of where the money we're giving them comes from. And Jess, did that work out pretty well last week?
yeah, that's fantastic. So we give them those with their checks. So yeah, thanks guys. I know that was a lot of steps in a lot of different places, but we're also happy to explain it offline too.
I'm gonna stop sharing unless somebody has a question they need answered.